I am Sherry Boykin, and my business is Faith and Tales. It's a limited liability company, started about 2 months after my startup class at University of Scranton. So that would have been in June of 2019. What really made me start this business, actually, because I had been speaking and writing for a number of years before I actually organized it into Faith and Tales. But actually, it was the near-death experience, oddly enough, of my husband the summer of 2018 that left me wondering. He did survive, by the way, and we, of course, were very grateful for that. But it made me wonder, what if that had been me? And what if, God forbid, I had never gotten to tell all the things I wanted to tell? And it's not that I was just wanting to rattle off story after story after story to anyone that wanted to hear, but I had this sense that the very unusual nature of my stories sort of required me, just compelled me to tell them on a greater scale to help hopefully a greater number of women in particular. And so when we went through that horrifying experience in the summer of 18, that was sort of sitting in the back of my mind. And on a random visit from a friend of mine, not even from Pennsylvania, she just happened to be looking up some information. As I said, boy, there needs to be a way that I can organize what I do in a better way so that I continue to speak and write, but do it smarter. And she said, well, University of Scranton has a program starting up actually this spring. And we were about 6 weeks away from the start date. I couldn't believe it. So that's how I kind of got started. That was the seed. It was planted in me probably many years earlier, but that kind of got me tilling the soil. My biggest challenge would also be the same as my number one encouragement to anyone going through the program right now. And that is, I waited, I think, too long, not to start the business, but to get a personal coach who was in my same niche, doing my same kinds of things and things that I aspired to do, who's already kind of doing it very regularly and doing it very well and in a very smart way. So again, I said I had been, in a sense, writing and speaking a long time, but I needed to have a better rhyme and rhythm to how I did it. And eventually now I have three of them. And it sounds like a lot, but if there's one thing that I would say was the hardest, was to not do that right away and therefore have to kind of peck away at what I found. It's like looking for this shiny thing and, oh, that sounds like a great idea. And I do know I need that also. Oh, I've heard of that before. Let me start doing that. And so what I had was folder after folder after folder of unfinished material that I needed to somehow formulate into a meaningful whole. And it wasn't until I actually had a coach that that difference started to come to fruition. So my favorite part is that it seems to open doors so much more easily than just my name ever would. And that sounds funny because, you know, I get all the jokes and I agree, Faith and Tales is the hokiest name, but it's the one that stuck that I couldn't forget regardless. I mean, yeah, so who serves cereal Sunday school girls? I mean, you just don't hear that kind of thing. So it would seem odd almost that it does open doors, but there's something about the fact that other people take you more seriously, or at least they take me more seriously. It may have everything to do with my own personality. It may have nothing to do with my personality, but in my estimation, having done it for as long as I've been doing it, I think it is the fact that they think, you know what, she's made a concerted effort to register this effort of hers, however she wants to look at it, ministry, business, both, whatever, an organization, you know, an effort, but she's made a concerted effort to organize it and register it. We should at least pay attention. And so I would say that that's probably my favorite part, that I'm thinking, wow, how did I get invited to that? You know, really? Okay, I'll do it, sure. How did I get invited to that? This would be one of those. I'll give it to you on two different levels. One of them is on a very, very personal level. And I'll have to admit that I, for many months, didn't really get this with a capital G, capital E, capital T. And that is the whole business of mindset, which I know some people I can almost feel the eyes rolling to the backs of people's heads. But I'm going to tell you, I thought that same thing years ago about how to handle finances. And let's say like 10 or 15 years down the road after that, I thought, I wished I had listened to that advice back then. I made all kinds of jokes. I said the same exact thing about mindset here until it occurred to me that that was sort of the key behind everything. Like, you can have great coaching even. You can have great bare bones things. Like, I do lots of virtual type presentations. So you can have great equipment, you can have great audio, you can have all these other things. You can have your business idea even down to the smallest jot and tittle. But if you do not have a mindset that says, what I do matters, what I do matters to more people than me and my mom. What I do will actually help people. And if I decide not to do that, it would be among those things at the end of my days here on earth. It would be among those things that I would regret most of all. If I knew I could help someone who is undoubtedly going through the same kind of journey and then just chose not to because, oh, I don't know, for whatever reason that we give. And especially in my circles, the reason tends to be something like, oh, I don't want to seem like I'm like all that. I don't want to seem like, and I don't want to seem like I'm all that. What I do want to seem like is that woman who has already gone through that brick wall after how many years of traveling. And then now I'm watching you hit the same wall and say, I don't know where the open door is. I'm going to tell you where the open door is, because I really don't have any desire to see you have to learn the same lesson I've already learned when I can help you do it a whole lot faster. So mindset is key. And if you're not sure whether or not you have the mindset for being an entrepreneur, a business owner, however you want to categorize yourself, here's where I learned, because I thought, even when I thought I had it down, someone asked me, well, you have a Facebook business page for Faith Entails, and you have your own personal profile, which you've had for many years before then. Would you consider taking the information from your business page, which if you're familiar with the algorithm of Facebook, it was going to see a whole lot less traffic than your personal profile page would. Would you consider posting information pertinent to your business on your profile page so that therefore your family, your closest friends, everyone's going to know what you do, and everyone's going to have an opinion? Would you consider doing that? My first thought was, no way. No way would I do that, because it's way too embarrassing. Because then they're going to think that I'm thinking that, and you go down that whole rabbit hole. And I'm thinking, you know what? If I really believe what I told you, I really believe about wanting to stop you from going through the same brick wall that I went through for how long, then I am going to put that everywhere possible, just like an exit sign in a building that's going to help people, get to the outside, God forbid, in case of a fire or something. So that is one easy way of knowing whether you have that mindset. Or, I don't deserve to actually get paid for what I do. And you will have people challenge you along the way. That's another one, that imposter syndrome. If you've done any study of business, you know that's a common problem. I don't know if I belong on stage with her or with them. All their names are new. I mean, all those names, their names are not new. They get butts in seats, and then you have me coming along. How does that work exactly? All those things. If you have to do whatever it is that you have to do, whether it's personal affirmations. For me, I am a faith-based person, not only the owner of a faith-based business. I do a whole lot of prayer and work in that area, and I try to act like I believe what I preach. I want to act like I do what I say you ought to do. And so mindset is really huge because all the rest sort of falls off the table if you don't have that. And secondly, I would say join a group of like-minded people. That could be a Facebook group. It could be a challenge of some kind. You see those all over. I did a challenge I thought would slay me, where we had to keep going live and talking. Now you're probably thinking, we need her to quiet down right now because we're kind of getting up to our time limit here. But honestly, that was so hard because I was thinking, well, I don't know. Are they going to think I look funny? Are they going to think, oh, we've heard that before. Oh, here we go again, another faith-based woman. I didn't know what they were going to think. But the challenge was do it and get her done by 5. And I thought, okay, I signed up and I committed to doing this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. That kind of thing. Get into a group of like-minded people headed in your same direction, and you might find someone that you can collaborate with on projects. You may find someone who can really plug you in where you need to be plugged in areas where you're weak and perhaps they're strong, or opposite. You know, you can probably help out each other. So that, along with coaching, mindset, coaching, group of like-minded people. Those are my 3 biggies. And believe me when I tell you, you will save yourself. I am not joking or exaggerating when I say probably 10 years if you start that now, as opposed to, you know, first I'm going to try and figure it out myself. Because can you do that? Yes, absolutely. Do you have to have a coach? No. Could you do what you want to do without a coach and without the other people of like-minded, you know, aspirations? Yes, but it will take you so much longer. So it's your choice. Yes, startup was so good for me because, number one, it exposed me to so many things. I don't know how many of you who will be listening to this recording will say, wow, I didn't actually know the questions to ask. And that's why I said to you girls earlier is that I feel a little bit sorry for the interns who went through in my round in the spring of 2019, because I really didn't know the questions I was supposed to ask. But Francine and Donna were amazing. It must be that I had that I don't know what day today is look on my face, because they were always asking, do you have any questions, Sherry? I thought, how come you didn't answer? And the real truth was, I just thought, I'm not sure I got it. But altogether, I felt like they were extremely good at presenting to us what the issues were. You're going to have to know things about insurance. So even if you didn't know all of that at the end of the presentation, even, you had it at the very least in the back of your mind that, wow, I need to check into that further. So I love the fact that they gave us resources and opened us up to the things that we needed to know. But a second thing was too, is that every single time they mentioned, now just keep in mind, ... I wrote those down, and I can't tell you how that has helped me. One of those things for any of you who are in the startup program now is that the Small Business Development Center through the Women's Entrepreneurship Center at the University of Scranton has great ties to the Penn State Law School. And there are going to be some legal documents, even the forming of your LLC or your corporation or whatever it is that you're planning on doing. They have some ties to people who can really walk you through that at no charge that is beyond what the legal charge is for whatever paperwork, trademark, or copyrights it is that you're looking for. So that is huge. And it may not seem huge now, but if I were you, I'd be writing that down, because there comes a point, at least in my circle, you actually really, really need that, whether it's for your website, your business plan, or whatever. You need to have some of that stuff that is purely legal. And you're either going to pay someone an arm and a leg to do that, or you're going to get a very well-intentioned intern who needs the practice, whereas you need the help. It's a great fit.